All right, let's jump in here. Royce Unchained. Pat, what do we do with ourselves here? We've been spoiled with playoff wins, flooded with Twins playoff wins.
Well, we were just talking about it a week ago. They were starting the playoffs, and StubHub. You could get StubHub tickets for what, about $4? We were
Yeah.
laughing about $4, $6. You could get in the game, and now this week it's like off the charts. So hey, congratulations to Minnesota fans jumping back on the baseball bandwagon, because I'm frankly surprised the level of enthusiasm. Aren't you? I'm a
Not
little
at this. I
surprised.
feel like they've done enough here, I think, to warrant some excitement. Are you surprised by the current excitement tied at 1 in the DS?
I guess I just didn't know that it could come back this quickly. That just winning a couple of, beating Toronto a couple of times could do this. And of course, then Pablo on Sunday night really changed the thing. But I'm just surprised it happened that quickly. You know what else helps? Our local football teams have helped the level of
Yeah,
excitement for the
that's true, too.
Twins too. That's helped too. Before I forget it. How about that Atlanta game last night? Was that one of the great finishes in the history of Major League
Incredible.
Baseball? It was I mean, that can happen in the postseason. You could have some memorable, incredible moments, but that was unbelievable. What a finish, man.
They were about to go down 2-0. And by the way, the Dodgers, you could argue the two best teams in baseball, the Dodgers are down 2-0 now.
Yes.
The Braves were down, 5-1 or 4-1, I think it was.
No, they're 4-0. Weren't they 4-0?
Was it 4-0?
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, it
was 4-0 initially. That was 4-0.
And then they kind of sloppily gave him a run to make it 4-1, and you didn't think much about it. And, a minute later, they're behind. So, but the finish was incredible, and that's a hell of a series. Meanwhile, the Dodgers down 2-0, and their savior for Game 3, Lance Lynn.
Yes.
Good luck with that.
Let's go.
Starting Lance Lynn in Arizona. Arizona lost their last 4, limped into the playoffs, and now they've won 4 in a row and eliminated the Brewers and look like they might eliminate the Dodgers.
Do you remember the Diamondbacks here? When the Diamondbacks came here, they were a mess. They looked awful here.
Oh, their bullpen was terrible.
Yeah.
And then they got that Seawald from the Mariners, and he was bad at first, and now they're saved. Now he's their closer, and hey, it's fun. What the hell? But back to our boys. It's just let's all hope for the Orioles today. We want the Orioles to win today so we can play in the afternoon again tomorrow instead of having to freeze to death on Wednesday night. But it's Sonny. Go get him, Sonny. Might be Sonny's last appearance for the Twins if they were to lose this series. But he's had a hell of a year. He's been terrific, and two aces. 2 aces is the secret for the Twins. It was the secret in '87. It was the secret in '91. Except you don't have to pitch Les Straker in Game 3. You probably have 3 better starting pitcher candidates than Les for Game 3. Joe Ryan, Ober, and Maeda, you'd all take them over Les back then. But
and I think the other ingredient too is you need who's the guy that just gets you runs, or who's the guy that steals outs, right? Center field or shortstop, and you're getting one of the, at least in my lifetime, one of the all-time postseason performers with his foot magically better, like Carlos Correa. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the fact that he's, none of us are surprised at the plays he's making, but he's getting big hits. They're in there. They were so well hidden. It was incredible. And 30 double plays, but all of a sudden he is taking a committed swing and hitting some rockets. And it's got to help as much as you're jacked up. okay for the playoffs, and he'd be jacked up for the playoffs. The fact he's doing it against the Astros has got to mean really a lot to him, because their home is in Houston. They settled into Houston. He and the wife and the kids settled into Houston. They brought back a lot of those guys, but they said, no, thank you, Carlos. We have this kid shortstop who's going to be a lot cheaper for a lot longer. And certainly you can't blame the Astros for doing that. But deep in your heart, it's got to hurt a little bit when they let you go, right?
Yeah.
It's like, the Twins saying goodbye to Puckett because they had who coming up, Jim Eisenreich or something. I don't,
Pedro Munoz. Pedro Munoz was on the way.
Eisenreich was before Kirby, so that doesn't work. I'm trying to think of, but that's
Rich Becker. Rich Becker on the way.
Yeah, we got Rich Becker. He's really patient at the plate, Kirby, and you're not. So we're
super patient at the plate. Yes.
Yeah, we're going to go with Rich Becker. Yeah, something like that. So he's it's it's funny how if let's say they advance here, get through this. How about a year ago they had the Dior quote, and everybody went crazy because of the Dior quote, and they that was misplaced. As the interpretation of that was misplaced. He didn't say I only shop at Dior. He said you're shopping at Dior.
Right.
He should have said for the playoffs.
Yeah, right, like that. So. But yeah, it's happened in a hurry. It's good for Minnesota. I love to see it. Obviously.
Where does especially the Giants, the Correa contract falling through with the Giants, rank on what we always complain about? Minnesota sports luck. That's one of the most fortunate. The Giants and the Mets, but the Giants especially. Pulling out because if Kyle Farmer started at shortstop, I think we talked about this on Unchained Monday, Patrick. This ain't the same story.
No, they might have won the division still. They might have won 79. Who was the second place? Detroit, right? They won 78, I think. Detroit
I think that's right. Yeah,
78, something like that. So you might have won the division, but first of all, I don't know if Kyle has the frame or the energy still to play 140 games at shortstop. So you would have ended up with Willie Castro or somebody like that trying to play shortstop too. It's I mean it is the opposite kind of luck, and nobody thought it was lucky to pay him $200 million when he was hitting into double plays and not getting any clutch hits for you. But the shortstop play's always been there, and I said it the other day. You got to give him credit. I mean, he's playing for $100 million less than he thought he was gonna, and he's played all the games. He didn't beg out even when he had the plantar fasciitis. He even missed it. The last week they gave him basically gave him the week off, but before that he kept playing. So
and it's kind of getting to the point where you care less about the back end of the contract and age and all that stuff. If they if they get to the World Series this year and he's a catalyst, then all right, it was worth it, right?
And here's what we're discovering in this postseason. Nobody has real starting depth. There's not like you see the Dodgers of all people having to, run out Lance Lynn. You see nobody at Arizona. What Philadelphia, their first game, starts Ranger Suarez and then uses 6 relievers to finish the game. I mean, first game of the playoff series, and they got to start a guy that they can't wait to take out of the game. And even Atlanta's doesn't. They got Strider, and then all of a sudden they got this. They don't really have depth either in their pitching staff. So that the Twins probably have. We certainly got the Twins certainly have the big two, but the other options aren't that bad, right?
Right.
And
you have if you need to go to Ober or Maeda or these you've got guys in your bullpen that can carry you for multiple innings in relief. So
that's they they have. I've been saying it now we've been saying it for 3 weeks. This is the deepest bullpen they've had ever. The difference between Cody, I hate to beat him up again, but Cody Stashak ain't coming out of that bullpen with a 1-run lead. Don't have to, you don't have to worry about that. It is kind of interesting the way you see who came in and was for the Dodgers yesterday and pitched a couple of innings. Bruised arm.
Graterol.
Right away.
There was another arm. That would have been nice. Now you got Maeda and you can't complain because he did get you to the playoffs in the pandemic year. But if you still had him out there, that'd be some fire and power, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Pat, I think I saw the Dodgers starting pitchers through 2 games have gotten them 5 outs. Because Kershaw only won a third, and I believe the guy yesterday got pulled after an inning and a third. So they've gotten 5 outs from their starting pitcher.
And then here comes chubby old Lance. And the funny thing about it too is they're getting an extra day. So this is the best they got because
they had the day off between the first 2 games.
They played a game, got a day off. They played last night. They got another day off. So you played 2 games in 4 days. And the best you can come up with is Lance Lynn.
They've got guys hurt, though. Walker Buehler's been out. And then who's the guy that's in trouble again for a second time for assault? Arias, yeah. And so they've got like 2 or 3 guys out.
Yeah, that hurt him. And then Walker Buehler's missed the whole season, and he was an absolute monster. But don't look now. They're probably going to fire Dave Roberts if he loses this series because last year they finished 22 games ahead of San Diego and got beat in that 4-game playoff series. And this year's 16 games ahead of Arizona. And if they get beat, it's not going to be his fault. But that doesn't mean they're not gonna give him the sacrificial lamb. What's interesting though, he's one of the craziest guys too in baseball, managing in this whole modern era of just going to his bullpen way too soon a lot of times. So not with Kershaw.
Well, but then Kershaw, if I know that when Kershaw gets rocked for whatever it was, 6 runs and gets pulled after a third, and by the way, his postseason ERA now is a full 2 runs higher than his regular season ERA, that is a 15-year sample size. Baseball doesn't get the national attention that it did 10 or 15 years ago. This would be, he is one of the all-time great regular season pitchers of the last 30 or 40 years. I don't know if there's an NFL quarterback comparison. Maybe Peyton Manning to some extent, but to go from being one of the best pitchers of all time in the regular season to getting rocked on a regular basis in the postseason, it's remarkable.
Remember, it was a huge story 5-6 years ago when there was less rounds of the baseball playoffs, and it was Kershaw. And incredible number of excuses made for him, but it's black and white now. He's not the same. He's not the same at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Although I watched him this year, he ended up the All-Star game again. But it hasn't been the same at all. I don't think when you watch him, it's not. He's had some arm trouble back a 3 years ago, and it's not the same. They don't have an ace because their best starter ended up being a wife beater, so that's a bad situation. That's twice. He got out of it the first time, but this was the second time. So that's. That's not good for them. But hey, how about that? The Twins pitching depth.
I know. We've only been begging for it for 5 or 6 years, and this is where it's like, on our show, and we brought the Twin show back right when they were they were below 500 at the All-Star break, and we're sitting here. Where's the development? Where's the pitching? And I think it was a justifiable cry for 5 or 6 years, but all of a sudden you snap your fingers, you look up, and they're sitting here they're probably favorites to win the division series now with loaded pitching. So we've had to all sort of recalibrate the things that we've thought about this front office, and even Rocco to some extent. They're doing a really good job in the second half of the season, and they're set up to. There's no juggernaut in the American League, Pat. There isn't.
No,
it's all sitting in front of them right now.
Texas has terrible pitching problems, but they can give you terrible pitching problems too if you don't watch yourself, because that's a hell of a lineup. But I yesterday was in the automobile and listened to a veteran radio guy who was in the middle of the day, who shall go nameless. But he's on a big FM station in town, and he's been on a long time, and he has a lot of theories, and he's not in drive time. He comes before drive time.
Stacy and Hutch, you're talking about. Stacy and Hutch.
Right.
Hutch has big takes.
And they were talking again about the Twins and the commitment to analytics. Rocco has changed his act completely in the handling of pitchers. Guess why? Because he has good pitchers. That's why. Yeah. He changed his, the whole, why did he hook him so early? I think I looked it up. They're fourth in the major leagues in innings from starters this year. So,
and it's why, when 40% of your rotation is guys that can't make it to the fifth inning, Chris Archer,
Dylan the 2020 Bundy. Playoffs against the Astros still are the one thing that makes no sense.
Yeah.
He hooked two guys.
But what I'm saying is that the Rocco of 2023 is a different guy.
Well, Pablo Lopez is a great example. Pablo, 6 strong, 87 pitches, could have easily hooked him, right?
Dang it, not everybody, but most of the guys still alive would have hooked him after 6. And he sent him out for another inning. And everybody. I heard some national radio commentary, and they were saying, how unusual. In the MLB Network, they're talking about how unusual it is. Somebody said it's really unusual to let a guy go 7. Now in this modern era, and they
that goes upstairs though, right, Pat?
Huh?
That goes upstairs though. Like I mean, if Rocco's going to do that. He's talked to Falvey about that. So that's
I'm not sure. I think that
really?
The fact that the day before he was saying that we're going to ride with him was, I don't buy the fact that he has to run it through Falvey to end up keeping him out there for 7.
I agree. I think there's some gray area leeway with guys that there's not necessarily with Pablo Lopez at 87 pitches. There's a gray area where. If he's rolling against that lineup, you keep him in.
Let's just say this. The Rocco of 2023 is not taking out Barrios after 3 innings, okay?
That's fair to say.
Yeah.
Right. Did you see what the Blue Jays did? So Ross Atkins, their GM, did his press conference last Saturday, and he basically refuted what the manager said. That was all him. Barrios was all him.
Oh, really?
He's coming back, so they didn't fire the dude, but he said that was on Schneider. That was not us.
Wow. That's
and in Toronto, they went crazy because that's a giant bundle of BS.
Schneider, I can't. Schneider, when I was in there when he was talking, and you can see he's such a house man that he wasn't making that up. That the decision came from all of their meeting. I mean, if the general manager doesn't approve of this, why do they got a guy warming up in the 2nd inning? Who developed this strategy?
Right.
Who developed this strategy? All of a sudden, out of the blue, this manager who's like a house man and fortunate to have the job. When he got the job, nobody knew who the hell he was. They were just mad at Charlie Montoya. Is all of a sudden going to say, yeah, if I'm the general manager and I see Strider, see the lefty get up in the 2nd inning, I'm saying, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. And like one thing that I feel there's a human element that they don't consider, and it's so obvious. And the Stashak example is one where when you're thinking about, okay, this pitcher starts to get worn down 3rd time through the order. And so we're going to start with our bullpen with 4 innings, 12 outs to go, right? And we're going to probably need 4 of those guys. We're going to need 5 pitchers. And this is what they don't think about. We're going to need 5 pitchers to all feel really good and be at their best, as opposed to 3 pitchers to feel good and be at their best, right? If you already have one that looks great, feels great, and is getting guys out, it's a gamble to take him out and hope that the next guy is at his best in a high-pressure playoff situation. But that doesn't factor into your algorithm, I guess.
I think it was Lidge yesterday. I heard on MLB Network was saying exactly that. And
it's a good immaculate grid name, Declan. Brad Lidge. Keep that one in mind. Yeah.
And he pitched when this whole phenomenon started. You know, the 7, 8, and we have a pitcher for the 7, 8, and 9th inning. But he was saying how that's exactly that, how unusual it is. This third time through the order thing drives him crazy. So
yeah,
but the statistics, the statistics show, well, look at the way the guy's throwing today. That's whatever happened to that.
I think there's certain guys. I mean, Pablo Lopez, I think if you look, and Justin Verlander's the same way, they actually get better after facing a lineup once or twice. So there are some guys where let it ride if they're feeling good and their pitch count's good. But then there's other guys where, all right, Sonny Gray sometimes gets a little wonky third time through. It shouldn't be that he's automatically pulled the third time through. If he can't locate and he's grinding through and it's 5 innings, okay, take him out, right? But if he's rolling, I agree with you.
Here's what you got to remember about Sonny. He's 3-2 because he wants to be. He isn't giving up. It's not because he can't throw strikes. It's because he wants to throw his strikes,
right?
And he wants to throw his breaking ball and get you to chase it. And he'll go to the end of the line to get you to swing at his pitch. And he's, he can throw the ball over the plate if he wants to, but he's a completely different animal than Lopez is. But he's also he's a I'm not going to give in guy. And if he walks a guy, it doesn't kill him. It doesn't. He doesn't want to do it, but it's he can throw strikes if he wants to. So it'll the Twins definitely have the advantage today, but they got to start hitting too, though. You're not gonna get through this whole thing even if you, let's say, you end up playing Texas. You're gonna have to hit. They have a pitching staff you should be able to hit, but you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to put up 5 or 6 a couple of times.
Well, they just scored 6 runs in a playoff game for the first time since October 6th of 2004. So they've check another box off.
Yeah, well, that's, how do you lose 18 in a row?
Don't score runs.
You average 2.5 runs a game. That's how you lose 18 in a row. When you lose, when you don't get 3, you're not going to win, even at this time of the season.
Yep. Well, we're gonna run so we can post this before people start flowing into Target Field. But it's good to be talking playoff run baseball here in October for the first time.
And I would say congratulations to the Minnesota sports fans, because I did not think baseball craziness was still out there at least this early in October. So and then you look at StubHub today and you say, okay, people care. Does Declan, if you still had your ticket, you could make a nice profit for it.
They sent me another email. They sent me an email wanting me back this week.
How the tables have turned. Yep.
Are you at the yard today, Judley?
All of us are at the yard today.
I'll be there.
Phil and Declan too. We're all going to be there.
Yeah, these guys will be with you in the press box. I'm gonna go and hang out with my friends, the fans of the Score North Twin Show.
Yeah, so you're the man of the people. These guys are these elitists.
These guys are stuffy elitists. Yes.
Yep. Wine and cheese guys.
Close the windows. Stay away.
Hey, let me bring this up though. Don't stand up every time there's 2 strikes. Make it be the 2 strikes to end the inning. Then I'll let you stand up. Don't stand up.
Disagree. Stand up for 3 hours, folks. Stand up.
The press box is high enough, Pat. We're fine. We can still see. At the dome, you couldn't see.
I feel sorry for the person behind the gate, behind him, that wants to watch the game instead of have some idiot up waving a hanky.
The Hankies are back, man.
Reason.
Great.
Yeah, I know they are. Hey, somebody told me he tried to buy 90 and the Star Tribune said they were out.
Wow.
So they must
sold
have
out of hankies.
Copy.
God bless Terry Robbins, man.
All right. Yeah. She ruined baseball, as I've told her many times, that the Homer hanky ruined postseason baseball. I hope you're proud of yourself. All right.
All right. See you, Pat. All right. Royce Unchained, presented today by our friends at Summit Orthopedics. So if you're dealing with any type of pain, maybe you've got hamstring problems that have put you on the shelf. Not that that's relevant for Minnesota sports this month. Whatever it is, no referrals are needed. Same-day appointments at Summit Orthopedics. They also have walk-in orthopedic urgent care 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 25 locations in the Twin Cities and Greater Minnesota. Learn more at summitortho.com. That's summitortho.com. Royce, Unchained.